Hey guys, welcome back to Auxhart Gardening. It is very drizzly outside, and if I want to get this garden tour out to you guys today, I think I'm going to have to film in the lightest rain. Kind of been waiting for it to dip, and this looks like it's just misting right now. So we're gonna go with it and see how much of the garden I can show you before it starts like pouring on me again. These past 2 weeks have been really indicative of like normal January weather. It will get warm and then it will get cold and rainy again, and it kind of goes through this cycle. Like just like 2 or 3 days ago, I was outside in a t-shirt in the sunshine. It was nice. And then we're back to this, which is just kind of how it goes. As you can see, I still have yet to spread the fresh mulch on the garden. I've actually decided to wait a minute on that. I ordered more mushroom spawn to go in the pathways under the mulch. So I'm gonna wait on putting that wood mulch in the pathways until I can layer it with more mushroom spawn. I did this last year too with wine cap mushrooms in the pathways and oyster mushrooms in the beds with the straw. Those oyster mushrooms never came up. I did see some of the wine cap mushrooms in the pathways, but like 2 or 3, not a lot, not big ones. So I'm wondering if I just like spread the spawn too thin. I figure it can't hurt to kind of bulk it up this year, even if it's still technically alive under there, to make sure that I get wine cap mushrooms good and established here, because theoretically they should be able to come back year after year once they get really established, and all I'll have to do is give them more wood chips. But the other thing is I don't know the hardwood content of the wood chips that I'm giving them, because I get them for free from the city. And technically they would like more of a hardwood mix, but I don't really know exactly what it is. I know this particular batch right here smells like Christmas trees, which makes sense. And so that's going to be pine, softwood type stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at my little seedlings here. I moved them out here from the bench so they would get a little more sun. Oh, these are looking good. Let me come around so we can see the labels. So much spinach coming up. A wild Draco appears. My scarlet kale has not germinated at all. I have been having this problem with the seeds for a couple of times of trying to germinate them now. They're probably not gonna come up. But everything else seems to be coming up quite nicely, so I'm pretty excited about that. Something that I did get done is I did spread a lot of mulch this past week, or not mulch, compost. That's what this is right here. I kind of piled it on top of the straw. And this is mostly broken down compost, but not like fully lovely, very fine broken down compost. So I put this on top here next to my garlic. I didn't have a lot, so I had to kind of think about how I was spreading it out. This goes about halfway down on one side here. And I think tomatoes on both sides will be able to pull from this nutrients, plus the garlic that is right here will also be able to pull from the nutrients that are going to come out of this. I had a ton of these in my compost that were sprouting. At first I thought they were little baby onions, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I'm wondering if it's like some sort of tree nut that a squirrel buried like a cache of in my compost pile, because there was a lot of them next to each other. Let me know if you recognize this. So I would say most of the plants in the garden look approximately the same. I can see that my onions are ever so slowly growing. Like if you look really close, you can see the tiniest little bit of fresh leaf coming up in the middle there. So they are definitely growing. They're all still green, which means they're still alive. This Brussels sprout is technically still alive, but the way that the top has kind of died back makes me think that it is unlikely to grow up big and strong and make me good Brussels sprouts, but we'll see. And all of the onions that had sprouted from last year that I planted out also seem to be surviving. So these will be hopefully pretty productive. Depending on how the weather is in maybe the next week, I will plant out seeds, like some more peas on the trellises and maybe some more fava beans over there, because it would be about time for them to go in about 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost. And still there's nothing here. None of that lettuce ever came back, but my onions on this side and my garlic on that side are doing really great. And I've actually been doing some research into some of these weeds in my garden. I recognize this weed, it's everywhere, and I found out that this is called dead nettle. It's one of those ones with the purple flowers. The other one that you might see that looks really similar has really round leaves instead of these triangle ones. Both of them are edible though. This one is dead nettle. Really interesting. Maybe I can find a way to use that when I inevitably have to yank this all out. Can y'all see this here in the ground where the water has just rushed down the hill and kind of started carving into the dirt here? This is why I need mulch on top here. But if we keep going, this area I did cover also in more compost. You can see more of these little things that I missed. Whatever they are everywhere. I decided that the 2 carrots here weren't really worth saving, so I did just compost over the top of everything because that was easier. But this will be really great for potatoes in the spring when they're really needing that nutrients. And I will probably put more carrots somewhere in here in the spring. If y'all saw my last video talking about all the seed varieties I picked out for the spring, you know that I haven't yet quite decided exactly how I am arranging everything because there is a lot. But I'm still figuring that out, and I will definitely be telling you guys how I figured that out in that next video. This is that other weed I was telling you about with the rounder leaves that still has those purpley flowers. I don't remember what this one's called, but it is also edible and probably medicinal in some way. I don't quite remember. I just barely got past identifying them. And the last interesting plant to look at over here is the Brussels sprout. We can check in on those. It is definitely making good edible Brussels sprouts. Those are about a size that I might pull actually. But it can't hurt to wait just a touch longer. I was kind of hoping that this would continue getting taller, but it seems to have slowed down in the cold. Maybe as it starts warming up in the spring it will start taking off again. I also did want to mention, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but there's some standing water here in the swale. It's full of leaves right now, so the water is up to the level of the dry leaves that were here. And so that's how saturated the ground is with all this rain that we've had over the past few weeks. Oh, you can tell way better down here. All that standing water. So if you haven't heard me talk about it before, the idea of this swale is it's on a bit of a hill. The water runs down off the dirt here across the garden, and that's been a problem. So this is supposed to help catch it and stop it, and then give it time to soak in, and that helps the garden in a way as well, by increasing the amount of just general water in the ground in this area. So this standing water is technically what this is for, but also this is such a small swale that standing water generally means that the ground is very well saturated. A quick little look at the herb garden. My oregano looks worse than ever, except for this one little spot that looks like it is very healthy. Yeah, I still think this will come back just fine, but I did not expect it to die back this hard, because it hasn't died back this hard every year that I've had it. And the sage also looks the worst that I have ever seen it. Generally, I've seen nothing can really make sage upset, but the weather has just not been sitting well for it, I guess. I don't check in on my rosemary as much because it doesn't do much. But I think that this plant has about doubled in size since I put it in the ground here, and it seems to be handling the winter quite well. You can see it making brand new little baby leaves there even as we speak. That's a really good sign of a healthy, happy plant, is when it's making new leaves. I can feel the rain just starting to come down again, so I'm sorry this garden tour had to be so brief, but I think we hit on all of the really important points. And you know, there isn't a lot going on in the garden to talk about, but there's a lot of planning to be done. So you will see me go into detail in the next video about how I am taking all the knowledge from how the garden is right now and how the garden was last year and putting that into practice for a better 2023 garden. So just a couple of reminders before I go. First of all, I am doing a seed giveaway at the moment. A comment on this video is an entry, and any other video in January is also an entry. If you haven't heard of the seed giveaway, I'll go ahead and link that below. Additionally, if you haven't heard, I do have a Patreon, and I really appreciate all of you who support me by watching my videos, by subscribing, but there is another option of supporting me monetarily through that Patreon. My patrons get access to ad-free versions of every video. You get stickers that are right now exclusive to patrons. There is a Discord that you can join where you can chat with me, you can send me all your gardening pictures and we can talk about it. So definitely check out that Patreon below, and even if all you're doing is watching my videos and subscribing, I really do appreciate you, because that helps more people find the channel and helps spread gardening knowledge even farther. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening!